right. I love that. Michael Costanza
Yeah.
made that for me. I had to play it because I think it's cool. And it's F-14-ish. But, you know, Michael and I have been sitting here all day, and I talk too much. But I just want to thank everybody who's been hanging with us. And if you're watching this from all over points of the world, I hope we're bringing you some informational stuff that you just didn't know. And
I think we've hit that. Definitely with the last segment, with what those guys poured out the bag there, and what they put up on screen and the stuff they revealed. Yeah, I think we nailed that one.
Yeah, that was a lot of the behind the production stuff for Paramount.
Yeah.
And today, for this segment, I actually wanted to bring Bio on and Smegs to talk about keeping it real. And by meaning keeping it real, it's the dialogue that they used in the movie and some of the flying scenes and stuff like that. And without further ado, I'd like to bring Dave, Baranek, Bio, and John Semcken. And we call you Smegs, right?
That's what they used to call me.
The good old days of call signs.
Yeah, everyone gets a call. Everyone gets a cool call sign, right?
Yeah, you don't get to pick it usually.
No.
Everyone doesn't get a cool call sign. Everybody gets a call sign.
Exactly.
But I got to tell you, I mean, I'll admit this. Growing up, I heard about call signs and squadrons because I was an aviation aficionado, and then of course, a few people had nicknames, but I always wanted to be in a group that had call signs. And so when you join the fighter community and you get a call sign, it's like, all right, I get one. And then a lot of guys are not happy with their call signs, but oh well.
You're happy with yours, Bio? Yeah.
What's that?
You're happy with yours, right?
Yeah, we had a guy who took off the carrier with his parking brake on and blew 2 tires, so his call sign was immediately changed to Boom Boom.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy with Bio. Yeah, I figure it's neutral.
Yeah.
Bionic
wasn't going to work, so
Baranek. I love it. But there's an old picture right there. That young guy.
Who's the handsome guy next to Anthony Edwards?
That's the guy that singing. Man, that was I was in the Glee Club at the Naval Academy. That's all I can tell you.
Well, the guys in the other segment, 2 earlier segments, they were talking about being at the O Club. They said that they didn't tell them that you guys were going to sing that song. Did you know that they were going to sing that?
No, I did not. None of us knew. Those guys, and it wasn't at the O Club. It was at a bar in San Diego, up above the hill. So it was made to look like the O Club, but it was not in the O Club.
Yeah, but I mean, the fact that you're an extra and the director, all right, ready, okay, they're going to start singing, you guys are going to follow in. You guys had no clue, so it's kind of actually pretty spontaneous.
Well, I was more than an extra. I had to be there for every frame that was shot using military personnel. So, the Navy put me in charge. So, every time they were using a naval aircraft or they were filming on a Navy base or there were naval personnel there, the Navy forced them to have me there. So I got to see everything, and I didn't know.
Oh, that's amazing. And so it just kind of is spontaneous, really.
Yeah. Well, no, they were making a movie. We were just supposed to be standing around.
No, but I mean, actually singing the song. Like you didn't know the
everybody
words.
joining in was spontaneous.
Well, the assistant director said, John, we're going to get you in this scene. He says, go stand over there. And when they start singing, just turn around. He says, it's important that you get in this movie. So that's what he did. I had no idea what was going to happen.
Wow.
Right.
But
I start off with, sorry, do you want to give yourselves an introduction as to what you were doing in the Navy, what your role was, title, at the time when Paramount turned up?
Go ahead, Bio.
So give people a brief introduction as to who you are,
because is more exciting than mine.
Well, as we go through this, John, people are going to realize that they've heard your name a lot more in that movie than they've actually ever realized. And I think today's probably like a moment for a lot of people, but we're going to get to that stinger moment later on. So,
okay. Okay, John threw it to me, so I'll start. I was an F-14 Rio, and then I went through the Top Gun class as a student, during my first deployment, which you know, a small percentage of guys did. And then I was selected to return as an instructor. And when I was there as an instructor, you know, I had my hands full, as Hollywood and Jambo earlier gave they gave great perspective on what it was like to be a real Top Gun instructor. We stayed busy, but on the other hand, I think everyone there loved it. You know, they didn't make you be a Top Gun instructor. It was something you wanted to do, and you know, you could stop at any time. But so anyway, I was an instructor at the Top Gun school, and then all of a sudden, these movie guys came in to start filming the movie, and it was about 1 year after I got there as an instructor. So I was one of the, I believe there's 16 guys listed in the credits, and I was one of them. And in addition to flying scenes in the movie, I ended up going with John up to Paramount for a couple of days to cut the film together and help them come up with dialogue. And we'll talk about all that later.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
Oh, no, that was a famous day. So I'm John Semcken. Smegs is my call sign. I did not pick it. I was assigned it by the commanding officer of Fighter Squadron 213, Tom Finta. Thanks, Skipper. But I did tours with the on the USS Enterprise with the with VF 213, and then I was assigned to the Fit Wing staff. And the admiral came in one day. He says, they're going to make a movie about Top Gun. How many of you guys graduated from Top Gun? So I raised my hand, and the chief of staff raised his hand, and the maintenance officer and the ops officer raised their hand. There's four of us. He says, okay, I need one of you guys to volunteer to be the advisor for a movie they're going to make about Top Gun. Boom, all four hands went down. And there's no way we're volunteering for this thing. They were just making that movie, you know, where the F-14, you know, the Enterprise goes back in time, and one of the commanding officers was being court-martialed for something that he didn't do, and none of us would volunteer. So the admiral took the script and he threw it down to the end of the table. He says, okay, Semcken, you're the junior guy. So they forced me to be, you know, the interior coordinator, technical advisor for the F-14s. Rat Willard was the advisor for over at Top Gun, and Rat and I, you know, did everything. And so I had to be on set for every scene that was filmed, whether it's at the base or with using Navy personnel. So it changed my life.
So that pretty much took you away from everything Navy related, all of your Navy duties for the duration of Top Gun being
18 months.
Wow.
But from reviewing the script, I got the script and I was the first person, you know, after, you know, the Department of the Navy in Washington, D.C. to read the script. And I read the script and put a whole bunch of, in the Navy, you know, the commanding officer writes in a red felt tip pen. The chief of staff writes in a green felt tip pen. So I had to pick a different color. I wrote in purple. And so I wrote, and the chief of staff wrote, and the admiral crossed out, and then blah, blah, blah. And, you know, they were gonna crash. For example, you know, Goose in the original script died in a midair collision. And I said, Tony, you can't do that. He goes, what do you mean? He would die. I said, yeah, but so would Cruz. And if Cruz hits another airplane, Cruz is never going to fly again. So I thought he's supposed to be a hero at the end of the movie. He says, I don't give an F how you kill him. He's got to live, and it can't be his fault, and he's got to die. I said, okay, we're going to kill him in a flat spin. So that's when the flat spin was written into the script, and he hit his head on the canopy, and he died. So it was fun.
And that's how it was born.
That's how that scene was born. There were a lot of others. And Bio will tell you, on the very last day of filming at Burbank Airport, I told Tony, because he said, we're not putting words in this movie. We're not wearing masks. I said, Tony, we wear masks everywhere we go. We always wear the mask. Oxygen's in the mask. The radio's in the mask. We're always wearing masks. He says, we're not wearing a mask. He says, I want to see his teeth. And I said, okay, fine. He said, so on the very last day of filming, literally the last day, Heater was there, a bunch of guys there. They were doing the close-ups in a hangar at Burbank Airport. And I said, Tony, you got to put masks on all the guys. He goes, John, I told you we're not wearing the effing masks. And I said, I don't care if you ever use it. but they all have to wear a mask because when I go back to the Navy, I'm going to get court-martialed when this movie comes out and they're not wearing masks. And so they put the masks on all the guys, and we Tom Cruise, what do I look like when I'm pulling G's? I go, pretend take a crap and you're constipated, And so he did a great job, and so they all wear the masks, and then when it came time to do the filming, the film was there were no words. There were no words in the movie. They weren't wearing masks. And Bio and I went up to Paramount Studios, and then I'll never forget that day. They came in, they let us watch the movie, and we're high-fiving us. I think Bio was probably 28. I was 29. We're doing it. Whatever. The very prestigious screening room at Paramount Studios. And they come back in. It's the director, the two producers, and the line producer, Tony Scott, Bill Bottolato, Jerry Bruckheimer, and Don Simpson. And so they said, what did you think, John? I said, no. I'm not going to talk first. Ask Bio. Bio, he hadn't seen the stuff yet. He was involved in some of the filming, a lot of the filming, but he hadn't seen it all cut together like I had. I said, he's going to be like somebody watching the movie for the first time. Ask him. So Bio, I just loved it. They said, well, Dave, what did you think? He says, well, I didn't like it.
Hold on 1 second. Bio, I'm getting some tremendous feedback from a speaker on your end.
Not mine.
No, it's Bio's end. I could hear it somewhere in another room or something.
I like that chair cover.
CO.
Bio, what's on your seat cover?
Show him the seat cover.
Bio, what's on your what is that?
That was for being a squadron commander, VF-211.
Yeah.
And when I left the squadron, they gave that to me. Because they couldn't use it because I was the outgoing CO. The new CO had his own call sign, his own seat back. So they gave it to me, and I said, "Yeah, I'm going to make it work right here." So
that's great.
Okay, so
back to the story. So Bio said, I didn't like it. And I was like going, oh my God, because these guys got egos bigger than the Empire State Building. Bio's he's just a freaking fighter guy. He knows what he says, I didn't like it. And this is how I remember it, but I'd love to see how Bio remembers it. And Tony Scott says, what do you mean you didn't like it? He says, Bio says, I didn't understand it. And he says, well, what don't you understand? He says, it's a love story. The boy meets the girl, the boy loses the girl, and the boy gets the girl back. And Bio says, oh, I understand the love story. Then what don't you effing understand? I don't understand that flying stuff. I don't, okay. And they went after Bio like he was a Russian freaking fighter pilot. I mean, it was unbelievable. What do you mean? You guys have me screaming at Bio and spitting all over him, And I said, hey, you got to put words in this movie. And Jerry Bruckheimer says to us, you just can't add words to a movie. If lips are moving, but their mouths are closed, that's a big problem. And I said, I know that, Mr. Bruckheimer. You put the scenes with the masks back in the movie. And Bio and I can give you any word you want as long as there's a mask on their face because you won't see the lips moving. And then Bio then tells him, the whole thing. It was just hysterical.
That's brilliant.
Is that how you remember Bio?
No, I want to see how Bio remembers it because I remember them yelling at him. That's all I remember.
Well, one funny thing is that John and I have different memories about little things that stuck out in our mind. But another thing is I can kind of remember being asked that question, what did you think? And I go, I'm going to make an impression on these guys and I'm going to just let a grenade, drop a grenade on them.
It wasn't a grenade. It went over like a fart in church. I can tell you that right now. It was unbelievable.
I was a Navy lieutenant and a Top Gun instructor. I wasn't that worried about what some movie guys thought of me. So
exactly. So they took us up in the editing bay. Remember that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I do remember that very well.
And so I'm good friends with Chris Lebenzon, who was the editor, right? And so he reminded me, a little while ago before COVID. But we went up there and I said, I told Bio because Rat Willard was the one who choreographed all the fight scenes. So the first one was a 1v1. The first one, then it was Top Gun, Maverick breaks the hard deck. And the next one's 2v2 and he leaves his wingman, all this other stuff. So Bio flew in a lot of those scenes, and so he was there. I was calling the maneuvers from the ground while they were doing all the stuff in Fallon, and so I said, but that's the 1v1, everything. I said, so why don't you just talk? Every time they're showing a reel, you talk. If they're showing the bogeys, you talk. So Bio was the voice of the bogeys in the reel, and I talked when they showed the face of the pilots. And so, and that's what happened. They decided not to use the footage of the bogey's voice. So Rat was he was the bogey, and you never heard him talk because you didn't know what country it was. I guess they were being politically correct.
Yeah, that would have been a mistake to assign one country or anything like that to it, because would have dated the movie. But John, I do remember. I mean, I remember that fondly. And first off, I'll just reiterate the point that Jambo and Hollywood made. The movie was a sideshow for me and for the instructors. I mean, now we're sitting here. I'm here talking about the movie, but real time back then, it was a distraction from our job. Okay, so I've said that enough now. But I do remember, now that we're in Hollywood, John and I were up there for 2 days at Paramount, and I remember sitting there watching the flying scenes, and we just got into it. We got into our talking back and forth and stuff. And, that was kind of fun.
Well, it was really fun. But, when we kind of just invented what the words should be. It was, then we said, well, check 6 and all this stuff. And they came back to us afterwards. They said, well, there's a couple of things we don't understand, like what? What's check 6? And they said, and I said, well, have you ever seen the movie 12 O'Clock High? And they said, well, of course, it's a classic. I said, well, do you know what it means? It's a movie title, John. It's a movie title. And I said, no, it means something. 12 o'clock's in front of you. 12 o'clock high is high in front of you. It means look high in front of you. There's somebody high in front of you. Shoot the guy high in front of you. Whatever. Just look 12 o'clock high. Check 6. If 12's in front of you, 6 is behind you. Watch the guy on your tail. And they said, well, can we say that? And I said, it's not a documentary. You can say whatever you want. And that was one of the big themes of the movie, because you read all these websites about, well, they would never do that, and they would never do that. The truth is, in the where Bio and those guys were flying, I'm watching them from the ground. They're only a couple 100 yards or 100 feet behind in some cases. None of the missiles would have armed in that distance, right? You would never fly that close behind a bogey. But for the camera to get everybody in the same shot, we had to fly that close. And so, so a lot of the things that were not realistic, if it wasn't a documentary, we just wanted to make it cool, right?
Right. But hey, you got to throw in watch the mountains.
Yeah, I did say that. That was my one contribution, because and John, you might have traveled with them, but they had the writers go around Miramar and ask people, or what are some cool sayings that you've heard and things like that. And there was a Rio who actually said, do some pilot shit. And I recall that as Sobes, as the guy who said that.
Yeah.
Goose.
Well, but that was I had to go with everybody, with the different writers, and went to Top Gun, and I'm just like the babysitter, right?
Yeah.
The best thing, and they had all the language and everything, and they took all of our language and they used it, 3 o'clock, and sometimes we said right side or whatever, because they didn't, they wanted it quickly. But the real fun things like that happened, like the fly by the tower that Bozo did. The story there is hysterical. I mean, it's absolutely hysterical.
Yeah,
because they went up there and they told me that they were going to come in the opposite direction, and then we could come in the opposite direction, but we're still going to break right over the southern part of the field. They said, no, we need him to come in a left-hand turn. I said, he's going to go over, Tierra Santa or over Mira Mesa. You can't do that. And I said, by the way, that's where the Admiral's house is. And if he goes and breaks left, he's going to fly right over the Admiral's house. And he says, well, we got the FAA's permission. I said, well, as long as you got the FAA's permission, I don't give a shit, right? Okay, so I said, but here's what's going to happen. On the first pass, he's going to fly over the Admiral's house. That phone over there is going to start ringing. Okay. I won't answer that phone. I'll go down the stairs because you have to walk. There's no elevators. That's the other thing. There are no elevators on a Navy base. Okay. But I'll walk down the tower and I'll answer the phone downstairs. By that time, hopefully he will have made the second pass. The admiral will scream and yell and curse and everything. He says, "You better knock it off." Okay. And I said, so then I will walk back up the steps. Okay. And by then you may have gone 3 times, and that's all you're going to get because I'm going to call knock it off. And that's exactly what happened. The phone started ringing. I walked downstairs. I got an earful. I walked upstairs, and we said knock it off. So Bozo, and I'm sure Biles told you in the past, the F-14 did not fly very well at low speeds with the wings back, but they thought it looked cool. And what Bozo had to do to stay below the speed limit below 500 feet and keep the wings back, that was a lot harder than people realized.
I bet.
Really so you want to talk about this bogey bandit thing, or?
Yeah.
Taco, can you pull that question up onto screen so everybody can view that? Let's come up.
Yeah, that's a question that came up, and John, we can work this in our experience. So my recollection was that bogey and bandit, they're basic terms for radar contacts, and a bogey is an unknown. And then if you're in and actually they indicate how training was improving in the mid 1980s. So I'm not going to get too technical on this, but we used to say bogey all the time. We used to just say bogey, bogey, bogey. But then the Navy started to get more precise in its terminology. And one of the terms that it improved was making a bandit an identified hostile airplane. And there's various ways to do that. And the fact is, though, that once something's declared a bandit, the guys in the fighter, and the person who will declare a bandit is probably going to be your controller, your E2 or your AWACS or your ship controller. Once it's declared a bandit, then you may be able to shoot at it. So in training, we started to be more precise and introduce the term bandit as meaning something. But that was way beyond the level of technical accuracy for the movie. I mean, just my description right here, we probably lost 20% of our audience. So I don't know. But it's like John said, flying at technically correct distances, you'd see a couple of specks on the screen. They didn't want that. They wanted to see airplanes. So they put them, wait a minute, I brought these models. I'm going to use them. They wanted to see airplanes, so.
Well, I mean, that would be the non-aviator's point of view to say, this is incorrect. Yeah, we all know that. That's Hollywood. You just got to be able to frame it.
Right.
Yeah. But in real life, when you were out there flying, Bio, you guys had the Learjet over here and you're sitting here and you guys go whizzing by each other and then, no, not close enough. And you got to do it again. Could you hear the engines of the other airplane flying past you?
Well, the first time we did that pass, you could not hear the engines of the other airplane.
The passes were not filmed from the Learjet.
No, the Learjet was out there. Did you fly on the Learjet?
All the stuff in the Learjet was the stuff where you see the maneuvering behind it. But when the airplanes were coming straight that was a camera mounted on the F-14.
Right, but the Learjet was there watching. And I don't know if they were filming it, they just didn't use it or what. But John, think back to your flying experience.
Yeah.
Wasn't it rare that you would hear the engines of another aircraft? I mean, if you're flying in tight formation, you might hear it if the guy went to mill or something. But in a fight, you never heard the other engines.
No, so we could hear in the F-14s the ACS or the air conditioning system was louder than the other.
No, guys,
okay, so when we're doing these head-on passes.
Sorry, just for the benefit of everybody watching this now, the flight scenes that you're describing now, this is what we see in the opening scene of Top Gun when they start engaging these, and just before obviously it goes inverted. This is the filming for that scene where we're head to head and they pass by so close.
Right.
That's what we're describing at the moment from the movie. Yeah,
that's right.
I can find it here in a second.
Well, the head-to-head passes were filmed. There were it's the difference between the new Maverick movie and this one. Okay, the technology, but we had a camera mounted outside on the exterior of the F-14 facing forward. Then there were cameras mounted inside, so you could see the actors' faces, but you never saw the actors because they all got sick. Okay, so remember the new movie, which is going to be so much cooler. The F-18's got a stick in the back, right? So if you start getting air sick, you just grab the stick and you fly the airplane. You won't get sick. It's like the driver of a car never gets sick. It's always the passenger. But in the F-14, this is what the great thing about the Rios. I'll tell you, even as a pilot, when I had to fly in the back as an LSO out to Catalina, it's not comfortable, and if the guy in the front's trying to fool around with you and unloads the airplane or yanks the airplane, or you move your head, you look in a different direction, you get sick. And so
you just get used to it.
You get, I guess.
So John, though, when we were filming the head-on pass scenes, the first time we did it, we went back to the training rules, and it's a 500-foot bubble.
Yeah.
So we come flying, the 2 F-14s and the 4 MiG-28s, and we said 500 feet, and everybody felt comfortable. But but Tony Scott goes, "Oh, that's too far apart. That's not going to look good on camera." And he's talking about from the cameras on the F-14,
right?
And so he said, "Can you do it again?" And so I remember Rat and Bozo, or I think it was Rat and Bozo, were talking to each other on the radios. And they were saying, "Okay, here's what we're going to do to get closer together." So they adjusted the formation. They said, "Okay, let's do this." We did it again, and Tony comes up and he goes, "Oh, that's good. That's good." And I'm going like, "That was pretty close." And then he goes, "One more time, a little bit closer." I mean, you remember Tony? He's
but I wasn't there when they did that because I wasn't flying in the airplane then.
Okay. So the final thing was, wait. Here's the final thing. And you got pilots and a couple of Rios and out there, and everybody wants to jump in, but everybody was quiet and just let the flight leads talk. And then whoever said it, I think it was Rat. Rat goes, "Look, Bozo," he goes, "we can see you guys from the start." So he goes, "Bozo, don't maneuver. You guys just fly straight and level, and we will avoid the collision." Because, I mean, you can imagine you got two airplanes out there. One guy's maneuvering to try to avoid a collision. The other, Anyway, so Bozo and his wingman, whoever it was that day, they came flying in straight and level. And Rat, we stacked the formations different so that they would not hit. And we made a close pass. And that last pass, I could hear the F-14 engines when they went by. And hearing the engines was like, whoa, that was close.
Oh, yeah.
We would try to get as close when we're doing it for real as possible because you're trying to get close and then start maneuvering to start your turn. But,
take out LETSEP and all that.
But,
Dave, what you just described there, that's actually covered in the first chapter of your book, isn't it? It's you've got a number of books out.
Yeah. Wait, no, we're showing this video clip right now.
See, these scenes are filmed that you're seeing looking at right there.
Now, is
not
that
the one with Rat, but those were in a hangar at Burbank Airport. Right there. All those scenes right there. Where it looks like he's flying. He's not. None of those guys were in the airplane.
That turned out well, John.
Yeah, it did.
They were yanking the gimbal and everything,
Oh, were you watching them do that?
Oh, yeah. No, I was there.
No, I remember you and I saw the mock-up, but I didn't see him filming any when I was there.
That's the day I told him he had to wear the masks.
Okay.
So all the actors, so none of these words, this bio will tell you, when this filming and everything was there, but the quick shots of the pilots with masks on was not in the movie, so it didn't make any sense. And so bio and I added every word you hear where they're wearing a mask was written by Dave Baranek and John Semcken 6 weeks before the movie came out. 6 weeks before the movie came out.
Oh, I love it. That's amazing.
Amazing.
Don't tell any of the unions. The writers' union would be very unhappy.
And
then when Goose says, when Merlin says, "You're gonna do what?" They couldn't get Merlin to do the scene to start with, And so they flew me to Chicago when Tom Cruise was adding his words. He was filming The Color of Money. That's why you can kind of see the earring in his ear during the elevator scene. That was filmed, after the words, right? And so that was filmed just weeks before the movie came out, and they hadn't yet gotten Merlin's voice. So for about a week and a half, I was the voice of Merlin. But then they finally got him, and he was put in it. So
I've got a picture. I've got a picture of the sets, the actual Sims, or the little rockers. They're in there in the mock-up, and they did a really nice job on those things.
Yeah. See how they cut off the front of the airplane? See that?
Yeah.
They took off the nose of the airplane so the camera could come in very close.
And look at that. They even scratched the canopies.
Okay, sorry, go back to that other photo where he's got his hands hanging out.
Yeah, the F-14 was a big airplane. I'll tell you,
that reminds me of the line from about to say the first chapter in your book, where you're talking about being in the infamous MiG-28, and you're waiting for a taxi and the canopy's open, and you're sitting there with your hands hanging over the canopy.
Oh yeah,
that actually reminds me of that. I mean, I've got the audio version.
You could not do that in the F-14.
No, you couldn't do it in the F-14, but in the F-5, we sat there before takeoff with the canopies up. And so you could just sit there like that, and it's just a comfortable way to sit,
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of this, probably a break.
Yeah. See that? You can see the rear screen projection in the original film. That was going to be the filming of the flat spin and everything from the stunt pilot who died. And so they couldn't use that footage anymore. So they ended up having to just use the rear screen projection.
Oh, gotcha. Bio, what about you rolling your sleeves up? I remember that from the book, rolling your sleeves up so that you could stand out and tell your mom, I was that guy. That's me right there. And
okay, I'll show you my book. Here's my book, Top Gun Days. This is my first book. As Michael said, I've got a couple other books. And just as 10 seconds about my book, it's not about the movie. The first half of it is about my F-14 experience. And then most of the second half is about being a real Top Gun instructor. And the movie is a few chapters. But so Top Gun, the squadron. Okay, so we were flying out there one time. Okay, John, maybe this will launch you into more stories also. But we were flying out there one time in the Learjet. And it was either my second or third day. And there had already been several scenes where they had the 2-seat MiG-28 and some other Rios had flown in the back seat. And so I'm going, well, everybody's flying these things. I wanted to show it when it's me. And we all had to wear black flight suits, black helmets, everything. So as we're flying out there, I rolled up my sleeves so that, maybe whenever you saw the 2-seater, you'd see, and we all rolled up our sleeves anyway, as you can see. But as we're flying out there, I rolled up my sleeves. And somebody comes up in the Learjet and goes, hey, Rio, in the lead MiG, put your sleeves back down. Oh, my God.
I'm not surprised. Yeah.
Busted.
I know. So, I mean, that's what extras do. I'm sure movie extras have done that since the first movie was filmed,
Sure.
So I'm the.
Yeah. When they're go ahead.
No, Smegs, can you tell a story of during the filming when the Tomcat flew a few feet over you at full burner during a roll?
Well, there was when we were doing the Fallon filming, there was we used several different squadrons, and this might have been 51 or 24, I can't remember. But the Brat, was the lead, and he briefed everybody on the filming, and the director wanted the airplanes to come directly at the camera. So we were up on the top of a hilltop, but actually a cliff, and it dropped like 4,000 or 5,000 feet, and you could see the guys coming over the desert, and then they would come straight up. And Tony wanted the airplanes to roll. Well, Bio will tell you, and any other pilot who's ever flown an F-14, the F-14 did not roll very well. The A4 could roll 360 degrees in in a half a second. The F-14,
320, if I remember. That thing was fast.
It was
no,
really,
720 degrees.
720 degrees a second. You can
Yeah.
roll twice around in a second, so 360 and a half a second.
Yeah.
But the F-14 could not do that, and also because it couldn't, as it rolled, it would lose altitude. So what we did is I called, and so the director. So the thing was, I was going to call the maneuver from the ground, and the director would say, "Okay, rolling," and the pilots would fly right at us. I say, "Okay, pull the nose up and roll." So pull the nose up and roll, and they do again and pull the nose, and I would call it 2 or 3 times, and then I would say, "Knock it off," right? And so we did this scene 6 or 7 times, okay. And then there was one pilot who decided he was going to make it really, really cool, okay. And I said, "Okay, pull the nose up and roll." Pull the nose up and roll. And then he was too close to the mountain, and I didn't say pull the nose up and roll, and he rolled anyway. So the airplane rolled and then was down. We're up here looking at the top of the F-14. I'm not kidding you. And I said, "Power, power, pull!" And he went like this. And now I saw the bottom of the F-14 as it came right over our heads. I mean, right over our heads. He blew all the cameras off the hill. He blew all the camera equipment off the hill. And I swear to God, the movie would have been an absolute disaster. He missed us by 15, 20 feet. And Bio can tell you, with an F-14 going over the top of you at 15 to 20 feet with full afterburner, let me tell you something. We were all scared out of our wits. It was the most unbelievable scene you've ever seen. So.
Taco, it's funny to laugh about now, but
yeah. No, I'm sorry. I was envisioning Always. Did you ever see the movie Always, where the fire bombers and the guy in the PBY and he's doing the fire bombing? John Goodman sitting up and he's the ghost, and he goes, "Hey, you're looking good," but he goes, "If you stay on this line, you're going to hit the fire boss," and he goes, "Oh, you know what? This looks good," and he drops the load of fire retardant right on John Goodman, knocks him off the ridge. That's all funny. It reminded me of. That was sorry.
That's funny. That movie. If you go by the scene, and this is when Bio says, "Watch out for the mountain." People don't realize it, but we were flying again. The cameras had to track the airplanes as they're flying around, and there's one of the scenes where it looks like the airplane flies right behind the mountain. It's not a mountain. It's flying so quick. If you grab the DVD and you go click, 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 one scene at a time, it's by the cameraman. It's the other cameraman, and the airplane flies right behind him. We're so close to us, but it went so fast you thought it was the mountain. But for people who are really movie guys, they can go with that scene, click, 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 and you'll see it's a person that the airplane flew behind, and not
really.
Oh yeah, I mean they were really close. Those scenes were very, very, very close to the camera, so it's fun.
I think I've got some of them up here. If we pull them up, we could look at it. But yeah, actually, let me see if I can get this for a second. Go ahead, Michael. You got a question?
Yeah, we're going back to Stinger's line in the movie. Have you got this queued up? Are you ready to roll that? Yeah. Go on, we'll roll with this.
Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah, but these guys are it. But now he's going to roll behind that. He's going to come in. And he's going to go behind the cliff. Yeah, right. Right here when he turns back. Okay, right there.
Oh yeah, right there.
That was not the mountain. That was a guy standing on the hill.
That's
right there.
We just passed it. Yeah. Oh my God.
So in the future, if you go by, you click one at a time. That was a human.
Very good. Smegs, I didn't know that.
Never noticed. I took that it was something on top of the mountain. There's some rock.
Oh no. That was another guy in the film crew.
Fast.
John, in the movie, your name is mentioned in a line. Your surname is actually given as a call sign, along with Rat.
In the movie,
in the movie, Stinger comes up with a line, and it's
mention
Willard and Semcken on Cats 3 and 4.
Willard and Semcken up on Cat 3.
Now, for many years, I watched the movie, and although I watched the credits, the people in the opening credits, you tend to kind of like remember. And for some reason, I always remembered the name Marjorie Semcken, who was casting director.
Simkin.
Yeah. And so when I'm watching this movie, I'm thinking, why would they mention the casting director? What was so special about her? Because obviously I didn't realize that you'd catch the, Reddy Willard and Semcken, because I hadn't gone through all the final credits. But so when Stinger delivers a line, Reddy Willard and Semcken catch 3 and 4, it's actually Rat Willard and yourself.
Right. Well,
your
Rat
name
and I were there for I was there even more than Rat, because Rat was there for all of the filming, right? When the airplanes, Rat was the guy who was going to get court-martialed if anything ever happened. You know what I mean? Because Rat was in charge. I think he was the ops officer then at Top Gun. And so Bio would know, but wasn't he your ops officer? Who was the XO, Bio?
At that time, I think he was. It looks like my picture froze. I'm not sure if that happens.
No, you
I'll
look
come
good.
back.
You're fine now.
You look very happy for a moment.
Okay.
But
no kidding.
I think Rat was the ops officer. He might have been the XO.
He was the acting XO briefly when our CO got relieved and Otter became the acting CO. But he was.
So Rat was really in charge. If anything,
he made 4-star. He made 4 stars, so that's
he made 4 stars.
Yeah.
But if anything had happened in the movie, Rat would
mostly the opposite.
Rat's career would have been over. I was a lieutenant. Wasn't I did. You couldn't do anything to me, right? But so all I had to do was bring the guys together when they needed guys to be in the bar scene. I would round up whatever squadron was in town. That's me, telling the guy where to move the airplane to. Of course, the San Diego Union printed it backwards. They put my wings on the right and my name tag on the left. That's not right. But
look at that.
I know.
And the F-14's gun is on the wrong side.
Exactly. So
right, Mitchell. Sorry, this is really interesting because Javier's, who's on next, he's got some images, some photos. That were taken obviously by 35mm camera of Tom Cruise, and when you look, Tom Cruise's call sign is back to front. The image has been mirrored,
but it's just reversed.
I wonder how that happened.
Sometimes you print it backwards.
With that one as well.
In the old days, they had a frame. And if you put the frame in backwards, it's going to print the picture backwards.
That's
what they ended up doing.
Well, I know what you're talking about in that because I've got the picture, but it's got one backwards, one's forward. So somehow the image got reversed.
Yeah.
When I saw that picture, actually, John, I'm thinking to myself, surely he knows there's an F-14 like trailing along behind him. Now, does he know that there's an F-14 creeping along behind him, or is he just leading it across the tarmac?
No, all I was doing there was the director. I just had to do what the director said to do, right? And I said, "Here, follow me. I'll show you where he wants to park it." That it was nothing. It was nothing very dramatic. I was just.
Well, you say that's not very dramatic, but when you say it to like somebody that's watched the film and been a fan of it forever, you're looking to say like, "Yeah, the director said to me, get that F-14 and just go and park it. Well, just park it over there."
Yeah.
I mean, at the time, it's like a $30 million aircraft, and it's walking along behind you. And that's Kelly McGillis's fault. She said 30 million in the film, so I'm going to have a word with her next time I speak to her.
It was all fun, but we just, we as pilots wanted the movie to be really, really cool, right? So we just did whatever we could do within reason to make it that way. And so all of the guys that were involved, and we're all guys that were at Miramar at the time. We had a lot of squadrons involved. A lot of the pilots and air crews were involved. So you've seen the picture of the crew and the pilots. That was only one set of them, but they were there the day that we did that filming. Then you got the guy.
There you go, right there.
Yeah, exactly. You got the guy in the number 6 there. Everybody thinks that's me. I'm actually number 1 on the upper left. But
know what? He is your doppelganger, man.
Exactly.
Because there's this picture of him in the right there, and I thought that was you.
Oh, that's not me. I wasn't in that scene. Yeah.
Mitchell,
but when they used our names to thank us, the guy who was really great was Bill Bottolato. You talked to his son Billy this morning.
Yeah.
But those guys, they wanted to give Rat and me credit, right? And so we didn't know they were doing it, right? And so a lot of those words were entered later after we weren't involved anymore. But Rat and I spent a lot of time with those guys, and Rat, So they said, when they used our names off of the cat, we didn't know they were going to do that, and they added those words later. It was all done not while we were there. So it was kind of fun.
So
Mitchell.
we've got, go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, can you bring that photo back up again? Because I've just pulled up the names. So just while it's up there, we can run through, because it took some time and effort going between the guys in the group and that to actually get around to name everybody. So number 1, we've got Smegs.
Right.
Number 2 is Chuck Heatley.
Yeah.
And obviously you got the rest of the crew. Number 3, you got Blitz, and 4, Shubo, who we've had on earlier.
Yeah.
Then number 5 is Jim Flex DeStaffney.
Flex DeStaffney.
6, Mike Farrell.
Mm-hmm.
Farrell.
Yeah.
7, it's Marco Scout.
Cromartie.
Marco.
Yeah.
Those 2 guys were. I think those 2 guys were in the rag at the time, going through training.
And then 8 is Jack Coney Fields. I think we've actually got his wife is in the Top Gun group on Facebook. And then 9, we've got Will Gildner, and 10, who was mentioned earlier, is Bruce Fetch.
Yeah.
So we managed eventually to get names to all of the people in that picture, and it's a picture that, as a Top Gun fan, I'd looked at for so many years, and you'd only know the cast, and you look at these guys and sit and think, I wonder who they are. But to actually
it was just one of the days. There were, as Bio will tell you, there's no pictures like that with Bio and all the guys from the Top Gun, because those guys at Top Gun, there they are, with their, but in fact, the funny thing, you'll notice they painted those F5s, with this black paint, and it started to peel off. There's a couple of scenes where you can see like there, the paint started to peel off, right? And so, but that, it happened so quickly, most people didn't see it.
They when they did the the West Coast benefit premiere in San Diego, which John, I don't know if you went.
Valley.
Yeah,
oh no, I was the one who had to coordinate it. Yeah.
So, and they had a big party afterwards. They had a couple of parties, and one we went to. All the Top Gun instructors went to one party, and I still remember this. We all tapped each other. We all were all, everybody goes, "Come on!" All the instructors are getting together up on the dance floor by the stage, and so we all went up there. And like I said, it was like 18 of us or whatever, but the actual real instructors. And there were a bunch of press people, photo people, and they were just standing there taking pictures of us. And so we stood there, just in a group in our dress uniforms. And there's a bunch of press photographers taking pictures of us. And I was just sitting there going, no, this is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I have never, ever seen a copy of one of those pictures.
When people forget, today, we all have these cell phones, and you can take a picture anytime you want,
Sure.
Well, I have almost no pictures of me flying an F-14. None. Bio, he's got all these great pictures, and
I took a few, yeah. I wish I had taken more.
Well, there you go.
I'm sorry.
You've got that picture of you and your wife. You and your wife kissing Tom Cruise,
My wife.
I mean,
come on.
Yeah, there it is.
There you go.
That's my wife kissing Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
And then here's the group of us going out to the
premiere.
Yeah.
So the premiere was in Mission Valley, and the whole idea was they wanted to do something. And I said, why don't you do something and benefit the Navy? What's the
Navy Relief, probably
the Navy Relief Foundation, and they did that, and they brought all the actors down. It was a big deal, So
it was called the West Coast Benefit Premiere.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Man, I need to work on my camera alignment, but that's okay.
That's all right.
So it was really fun, and then everybody that participated was invited, and there frankly were a lot of guys. If you went through that bar scene, you could see a lot of guys. I see other, that
Oh
I
yeah,
with,
yeah.
So.
Guys,
yeah,
in the background.
I don't have all the
There's
clips.
Blitz.
I just grabbed a couple, but
that's Blitz right there.
That is just a classic.
Mm-hmm.
Classic deal. Yeah. This shot right here, that's your moneymaker right there. When you got hired at your company, you're like, hey, you ever watch Top Gun? That's me next to Tony. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, trust me, the movie changed my life. I've been very, very lucky in business, and the movie helped a lot.
Well, you know what? Let's throw this out. If anybody from Paramount happens to be watching our little podcast on Top Gun stuff, we are just humbly requesting that any pictures from that benefit from 35 years ago, if you could forward to Bio and poor Smegs and all those guys that attended, those guys that were taking photos, could you get those for us, Paramount, please?
We'll put them right on our Facebook pages.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone from Paramount's watching, but I hope they are. And when they do, they realize that they need to fly. I'll fly Michael out on a pass from England or Scotland, and you got to bring a Marine aviator that was, of course, smitten by this movie.
I think that they should invite Bio and me to the premiere for the new movie.
For the new one too. All of
it.
Hey, you know what?
I'm like, what's up? What is going on here?
I don't think they have enough handicap seating though.
Oh. Well, remember, the movie came out 35 years ago, but we filmed it 36 years ago. So we were much older when we filmed it.
Yeah.
I'm just teasing. I love you, man. They should have the whole section on the center section for all the past Top Gun instructors and everybody that was involved in the original film, and put those guys in there. No kidding. Paramount, listen up. You need to grab all the original guys, because to us, Tom Cruise is cool. But these guys are my heroes, the guys that actually did this stuff.
Absolutely.
So,
it's funny you say about Tom Cruise, because I was, 15 years later, I was at a Dodger game, and Tom Cruise was, at a suite down from our suite with the owner of the Dodgers, who at the same time was the head of Warner Brothers. And Tom Cruise comes walking out of the suite, and I'm in the hallway taking a phone call from a real estate broker. And I said, hold on a second. Tom Cruise is walking by. I got to say hi. He goes, don't give me any of this stuff. And so Tom walks by. I said, hey, Tom, how you doing? And he walks by, makes a couple of steps, and he looks back at me, and he goes, oh, my God. Now, this is 15 years later. He goes, come over here. He goes, Smegs, how you doing? He looks at this guy who is the head of Warner Brothers. I mean, the head of Warner Brothers. He says, this is the guy who taught me how to fly. And so, I was amazed that he remembered me. Everybody knows Tom Cruise, but by this time he's a huge star, right? Top Gun, nobody knew who he was, but here I was in a suit and tie. It's not like I'm wearing a flight suit,
out of context.
Yeah, in the back in a hallway outside in Dodger Stadium.
Yep.
And he knew it immediately. I was pretty amazed.
That's a neat story. That really is.
Yeah.
John, is there one most outstanding moment of Top Gun for you as a memory, whether it's part just watching it back and looking at it, or being a part of it, or something behind the scenes that you're a part of, something that stands out above anything else? Is there one defining moment that you'd look back and go, that's it? And sorry.
Well, it's the one, there's too many, to be perfectly honest. But how we picked Kelly McGillis's role in the original script, Kelly McGillis was a waitress at a Bonanza Steakhouse and an aerobics instructor. That's what the actress's job was. Well, that's a perfect fighter pilot's wife, right? She can go anywhere. That's you don't need to. You can relocate from the East Coast to the West Coast, whatever. So Don Simpson comes in, and Don was a very kind of short, kind of really aggressive guy, and he looks at Admiral Cassidy. He goes, "We want her to be one of the pilots. We want her to be one of the pilots." And Admiral Cassidy says, "Hey, women don't fly these airplanes," because in 1985, when we were doing the script, it was against the law to women to serve in combat aircraft. They subsequently, in fact, Bio probably had women in his squadron, right? But
yes,
women did not fly these airplanes in 1985. And so Bio, Don Simpson, we want a woman who really knows what's going on in this stuff. And I lean over and I whisper in the Admiral's ear, and I said, Admiral, Christine Fox. Why don't we introduce him to Christine? So Christine was on our staff, right? The fit wing staff. Yeah. And she was really in charge of electronic countermeasures. And so we would go up over Fallon, and she would be, shooting radars at us. And we're supposed to know if it's an SA-2 or an SA-3 or an SA-6, right? And she would be the one. And so then she would interview the pilots afterwards, and we would tell her what we saw, or the Rios would, because they were, And she said, I never shot an SA-6 at you. You guys are full of shit, you know? So, and he goes, okay. And the admiral goes, okay. So he makes Don Simpson squirm for like another 15 minutes and argue and everything. And he goes and he turns around and he goes, hey, Lieutenant, why don't you have Christine come on down? You know, I go, oh, God damn, you know, because I'm just a lieutenant. He's an admiral, right? The last thing you know is I'm going to get credit for this. It's okay. No problem. So I go into the outer office and I call Christine and say, hey, Christine, can you come to the admiral's office? Hollywood's calling. You know, she goes, what are you talking about? I says, well, the admiral would like you to meet the director and the producer of the movie they're making about Top Gun. So she comes down, and Christine's blonde, really pretty, and you know, 6 feet tall. You know, Don Simpson's like 5'8", 5'5". You know what I mean? And he looks up at her and he says, do you have your Screen Actors Guild card? You know, just like that. And the next day they sent the writers down and everybody's writing, you know. So one of the things I think is the most fun about the movie is all the stuff that you think is complete BS is really, you know, sure, Kelly McGillis would not have been a tactics. She wouldn't be telling the pilots how to fly because she didn't fly the airplane. But it was pretty close between an electronic calorimeters DOD. She was a DOD employee. She knew everything about electronic countermeasures and everything. She didn't know everything about fighter tactics, but that was okay. You know,
Hollywood
killing the guy with his head hitting his head on the canopy. That really happened. Okay. Yeah. Now, whether he died or not, there's a disagreement between whether we thought he died or not, but Rio did hit his head on the canopy in a flat spin. Right. And so that was before the days. Bio will tell you, you know, once the first couple of guys hit their head on, once the first guy hit his head, the procedure was jettison the canopy first, then eject, right? Because the canopy was meant to come off in the wind stream, right? But if it comes off in a flat spin, it just lifts up and there is no wind speed. So it clears to the right or clears to the left, depending which way the airplane's spinning. And so those are the things that people don't realize. So what's really fun is the stuff that you think is real, like flying by the tower. We would never do that if we ever wanted to fly again. Okay. Right. But all the stuff one shot at that. Complete BS is actually pretty much based in fact. And so that's what's fun about the movie.
Dave, same question. What's the standout moment from Top Gun for you?
That's tough to say. I mean, the manning up the black, you know, MiG-28, that was a lot of fun, and flying those. That would have to be it. There would have to be two of them. It would be the close passes, because that was just kind of fun. I mean, one, I'm going to go back to comparing it to the real world. You can't match the excitement of being a real Top Gun instructor and going to the merge against 4, you know, fighters, F-14s, F-18s, whatever, and you've got, you know, 8 bandits. And so it's a 4v8 and you're about to start a giant go for it furball. Nothing can match that. But okay, so we're filming the movie. We do the 2 versus 4 close pass. That was pretty exciting. And then the other thing was when John and I went up to Paramount.
That was probably the best.
You know, it was fun, and I'm going to comment on the movie people, and I think your first segment, Hollywood, Jambo, and Bozo commented on this also. The movie people were professional. They respected us Navy guys. They wanted our input and our comments, and they did the best they could to meld our inputs into a successful movie. So overall, it was fun. I mean, if I wish I had some dirt or some bad stories or something like that, I'd be a lot more famous now. But it was a good experience.
You know, Bio and I changed the whole movie. Trust me. If we hadn't added those words at the end of the movie, it would have sucked. Yeah, because the average person would not have ever recognized what was going on. Oh, you're
no sound.
Hey, Taco, you're muted.
Mitchell.
Oh, I got you. All right, thanks, man. I was muted. That's a good thing, man. Somebody muted my microphone.
Where's my mute button? Wait a minute, mute Taco. Where is that?
Have we all got one of these?
Hey, just want to say thank you guys so much for coming on today on your Sunday, and I really appreciate it. I've got a coin for you, Bio. I gave you a coin when we did a podcast a while back, right?
Yes.
So
thank you.
So Smegs, I got a coin for you for being on Tall Tales with Taco.
I got it. I love it.
Michael's going to produce some coins for the Top Gun fan club page, and then we'll get those things. Versions. I'm digital version. We'll give you like digital coin, but we can't thank you guys enough, and so much for coming along with us.
The only thing I ask, if anybody really wants to help the military, I've been very, very fortunate in business and have had a lot of luck. And so along with two Marine friends of mine, Taco, we started a foundation called the Land of the Free Foundation. So if you ever go www.landofthefreefoundation.com, and you'll see all the money, 100% of the money donated to that foundation goes to military charities and their families.
That's fantastic.
And so my partners and I pay for everything else. And so it's a great way to give back to the military.
John, I'm just saying we've got all these recorded, all these segments. We're going to upload them to different places, the Facebook group and things. So when we do that, I'll be making sure to put the links, the live links to things. Your foundation that you mentioned, Bio, obviously the books where people can grab them because they need a copy. Right. So the recordings, when they get uploaded everywhere, we'll have the live links to access what we've talked about.
You know what? And I think we got enough. We probably have more stuff for a -2 if you guys ever want to come back on in, say, a couple months, digest, marinate, think about some of the other things, and we can come on and dive into something else. How about that? Would that work?
That'd be fun. Talk about what Bio and his crew really did at Top Gun. Those guys, the instructors at Top Gun, what they knew and what they were teaching, they knew more. They forgot more about fighter tactics than any of us who even graduated from Top Gun. I graduated in 1983, but they forgot more than I would ever know. So
I know we're wrapping it up, but John, Sobes said that about me one time, and I wasn't listening carefully. Sobes tells a guy, he goes, Bio forgot more about electronic warfare than you know. And I said, and I wasn't listening carefully. I go, Sobes, I try to study. I try to keep, he goes, Bio, it's a compliment.
One last question. Somebody asked, how did they come up with all the character call signs? Did you have a hand in that?
And can we do that in 60 seconds?
No, they did it all, and they picked all the names themselves.
All right. Well, gentlemen, it's been an hour and 2 minutes, and we've got a couple minutes. And actually, I'm going to add Admiral Pettigrew to the mix. He's been patiently sitting there, even though he's on the wrong link.
There he is.
Holy shit, it's Viper.
Holy shit, it's Viper. Hey,
Taco, you told me to get on at 2 o'clock. So I've been sitting here for an hour.
Sir, I told you 2 o'clock West Coast time.
If you want to know in the movie, I can tell you.
Taco, I don't want to be you, man.
Hey, we'll talk later. But
I will tell you, not tell you, but if you remember, we got bandits, and then they became red bandits and blue bandits.
Oh yeah.
And it was a cleared to fire. So in 72. When I had my engagement, we got an intercept from about 80 miles out, and we got it cleared to fire at 30 miles. And the way we did it was just because it was USS Chicago. We were talking to Ace Knowles, who was running the intercept.
The famous, yeah.
And he said they're 2 blue bandits, and I said, Roger, blue bandits. Do we have a cleared to fire? And he said, yes. Because if you designated actually a blue bandit, or a red bandit was a MiG-17, and a blue bandit was a MiG-21. And the only thing they got wrong was it wasn't 2 MiG-21s, it was 4 MiG-21.
Details.
Well, hey, the first thing that comes into your mind when you see them, and you see that they're all 4 together, first thing that comes into your mind is, good, I think the dance floor is full. Yeah. and we don't have other people that are going to sneak onto the dance floor. Yeah. And so that's exactly what happened. So it was just a 2v4, and everybody was there.
Well, you know what, guys? This is a great segue into our next one with the Admiral. And you know what, Admiral? I hate to say I probably did tell you 14, 15 because I'm looking at that. But you had the call sheet, sir. Did you read it? Did you read it?
Admirals don't read shit. People read shit to the admirals. Come on.
I think this just proves how
conversation
this is.
All right.
You called me yesterday.
Yes, sir.
We had a discussion over whether it was daylight savings.
All right. All right. We're off. Listen, we're over our time. Everybody listening to the sound of my voice, you go back, and in about 8 minutes, we're going to pop back up with Viper and Javier, and we're going to have one last great segment. Gentlemen, thank you so much
See you guys.
for coming on with us.
Okay,
Viper, good to see you. Viper.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Yes,
have a
guys.
great one, guys.
Taco, leave me running for a second.
And hold on a second.
Yeah, what I was going to say is everybody that's watching, a member of the Facebook group, if you jump back into the Facebook group, I'm going to make another post and announcement, and I'll pin it to the top with the links for the next segment so nobody has any problems finding it.
All right. And if Admiral Pettigrew can hear the sound of my voice, go to the next link, sir. Sorry. Here we go.
Yeah, that'd be good.
All right.